Good morning. We heard a lot of problems, but I'm solution to all of your problems. I will talk about what we're doing in Estonia. So what's the deal here? Actually, 6 years ago already, we had the first time when we used internet voting pan-nationally for everyone, and with binding results. So it wasn't a joke, it was a real thing. And since then, we have been using this method for 5 times. Last time we had the parliamentary elections this year. If you talk about numbers, then we started below 10,000 internet voters, as you can see in the green line. But last time, every 4th vote was electronic, meaning that we cast 25% votes electronically. And in the red line, you can see just the overall turnout of voting. So I'm going to tell you how we achieved that. First of all, we are a small country, but we're pretty much using a lot of technology, a lot of internet. Everyone has 3 mobile phones and 10 computers, something like that. And wireless connectivity is something people really sometimes are sort of wondering how it's possible everywhere is wireless. But what we do have, which is very important from this point of view, is we have something what I like to call something like PKI penetration or electronic identity. So basically we have an infrastructure in place which allows for electronic identification of people. This project started a long time ago, well, I can recall myself drawing the project plan that we can bring out the first ID card in 14 months. Well, it took 5 years. Things like always take this time, and in 4 years we sort of completed the rollout. The number of active cards are somewhere below 1 and 1.1 million. And the card itself, of course, it's good for traveling within Schengen, at least in Europe. So it's visual document, it's primary document. It's not compulsory in that manner because you don't get to jail if you don't have one. But it's primary document, the government will issue you, and what's important here is that it has this electronic part, which has 2 certificates or corresponding private keys, which allows for authentication, meaning that I authenticate to the, say, web systems, who you are, and the other certificate, you have like 2 PIN codes, what you use, and you use PIN 1 for authentication, PIN 2 for digital signing. The digital signing is different because it brings a legal consequences. Authentication is like for nothing. So people really use it everywhere. So the light use is that it's also used for like transportation, public transportation in cities. Library cards, so it's replacing a lot of stuff you have in a pocket, like a health insurance card. You also don't really, in Estonia, don't need to carry your driver documents along with you, just ID card will suffice, and so on. But what's important here is that all e-services will require a real identity, really support ID card, and also digital signing is quite huge in Estonia. I mean, people are managing to create 2 million signatures per month, and they're signing literally everything. So we are saving a lot of paper, I think. Now, the internet voting, why I'm talking about it, it's not anything very special. It's just another ID card application from that perspective, because this true, very good identity, electronic identity, government issued, very secure, solves most of the problems when we talk about internet voting security. It makes sure who is behind the computer, and because people use those cards in other applications, like banking. So they keep their cards and keep their pins to themselves. They won't give it out for money or something like that, because if you give your card away for voting for someone else, you give your life away. Because someone else would empty your bank account and sign some nasty contracts and so on and so forth. So you won't do that. So it's a pretty secure way to make sure who is behind the computer. On principles, of course, all the major principles, one person, one vote, so on, like we know. So internet voting, you can use internet voting during 7-day period. It used to be 3 days. We extended that a few years ago. And yes, you use ID card or mobile ID. We actually do have something which we call mobile ID. This is a SIM card, special SIM card, which has the same functionality as your ID card, meaning that you can authenticate and digitally sign, and you have 2 pins with that. So it's pretty much equal thing. And we use both properties of this ID card. So first you authenticate, you make sure, system makes sure who you are, and then you make your choice and confirm your choice with a digital signature. Now, funny thing is that you can vote as many times as you want with the internet voting, and also only the last ballot will count. So it's obvious measure when we talk about this kind of remote voting, when you're out of control, you're not enforced into some cubicle in a polling station, and you are sitting at home. So you could be under the influence of someone, like under the influence of your wife or your employer or your dog, I don't know. And therefore you can, you can go someplace quiet after the influencer goes away and cast your vote naturally by yourself. So I'm always saying that it's a brilliant system for vote selling, but it's a terrible system for vote buying. And also, if you go and vote by paper during those advanced polling days in a polling station, then all the electronic votes will be cancelled. So paper is king here. But the reason is quite obvious. You cannot get the ballot out of the paper box, and that's for sure. Now, we don't have voter registration. We use the population register. If you are in the register, then you are automatically a voter. So we reuse the same register. And basically how it works to ensure accountability and security at the same time, that it uses the same well-known double envelope system, which is known also from paperwork. So basically you get you fill your ballot in, and then you seal it, this ballot in the white smaller envelope, you seal it, and it's absolutely anonymous vote. Now, further on, you put this anonymous vote into the bigger envelope and put your address there and your name there, and it will be sent to your polling station. And then in your polling station, this nice lady will get this envelope and make a tick behind your name and get this anonymous vote out and put it in the ballot box. Well, the same works here in electronic world. So basically what you do, you make your selection, and this selection will be encrypted. This is like the inner envelope. And further on, you now sign this encrypted vote. What you get is like a double envelope. And those double envelopes will be collected, and this digital signature, of course, has your personal data on it. And those double envelopes will be collected, and of course, if you send the other one, then the system will say, okay, you will want to replace the previous vote, and throws the other one away. And before it comes to counting, all those outer envelopes or digital signatures with the personal data will be separated from those anonymous white envelopes, like encrypted votes, and only those counting process just accepts those anonymous encrypted votes for counting, and outputs summarized results. So it's quite understandable, and therefore I think people really understand that and trust the system. The scope basically is that, yes, the e-voting system itself just takes in the candidate list, the voter lists, and outputs results and list of e-voters. So basically it's quite contained system. Well, it's a little bit technical here, but basically to note here is that you have got two servers when the internet voting is on. One would be called vote forwarding server, and the other vote storing server. It's for nothing because the vote forwarding server, it just gets your double envelope and sends it back to the other server. So to prevent the situation that someone breaks into this front office server, vote forwarding server, and gets something, it doesn't get anything. And the vote counting application is completely offline. This is a completely offline process. And yeah, the anonymous votes will be transferred via DVD media for that. And then again, all those process servers produce extensive logs, which are to be analyzed with the audit application. And key management is absolutely separate story here. Lots of dances. Oh, I skipped that. From user perspective, it's quite simple. You go to the proper website, like elections.de, and then you have to download and run the application. It doesn't work inside browser for security reasons. First, you select whether you use ID card or mobile ID. If you use ID card, then the PIN 1 will be asked from you. If you choose mobile ID, then you input the phone number, and something challenge will be sent to your mobile phone, and you get something like a control code, verification code. You need to verify whether it's my session or not. Okay, and if you verify that it's my session, it's my authentication session, you input your PIN 1 there, and you're in. You're welcomed. And you will be introduced to the elections, and then you make your choice. You browse back and forward in here. If you make your choice, you need to confirm it with a digital signature, like putting in PIN 2, either with ID card or with the mobile phone. The same here. You get the control code or verification code first, and then you put the PIN 2 in, and you're done. Basically, it takes like below 1 minute, so it's pretty much quicker than going 5 kilometers uphill in a snowstorm. So it's pretty convenient from user point of view. When I was proposed to head this project, I quickly realized that it's not an IT project, not at all. It has some smell of IT, but basically it takes a lot of more. And the most important here is how to really handle this IT, how the procedures. I will come to that later on. But it's basically what they do is you're building a trust into the system, because the election system is about trusting it or not. So you have to deal with even politicians. Transparency, yes, you pick the components in a way that they are, you can audit them. So you don't really pick up some kind of closed source code things. If you need to inspect the source code, you must be able to do that. When coming to technology, then of course, again, you want to be simple and transparent, again, for the auditable purposes. You use, in server-side, stable platforms, and you don't use any fancy programming languages, again, to be understandable. Yeah, in the server side we have quite a aesthetic user interface, like text-based. It's not fancy at all. Procedures, as I said, very important part. We have got a lot of documentation. Everything is fully documented. So when we actually setting up, installing the system, we don't really think. We don't really think at all. Everything is written down. We go by the book. And therefore, everything should be documented again in order to see whether it's done by the book or not. What we do before starting procedures, we invite in political parties and actually everyone to come to the courses, and we have sort of crash courses. We go through the documentation and explain what's in there and what we are going to do, so the observers can come and sit and see how the system is set up and be fully there. So yes, there are a lot of dances. We do things 4 times more slower than you are capable of doing, but because of the auditability, so people can understand what we are doing. So when we do things, 2 of us, then we have got a bunch of auditors, bunch of observers, and there is 1 cameraman always there. So it's not very free environment, really. A few words about hosting. Yeah, we use governmental hosting. We have set the rules how to get into server room. So it takes again a lot of people to just make a backup copy of this server on everyday basis. We do a lot of sealing. So if you don't use the piece of technology you have configured already for the night, then you seal it, put it away, and come back later in the morning and see nobody's used it in between. So lots of security envelopes and security seals around. Also, of course, the internet is a dangerous place. So we have sort of informal setup of people who are in network monitoring and in security business. They are keeping eyes open for those 7 days more widely in terms of specific threats on internet voting, to internet voting system. Few numbers. Well, here's frequency. You can make a note of the last hour, number of votes per hour. So always people discover in 7th day in the last hour that they haven't voted yet. Well, is this for young people? Well, as you can see, the young people, they are below there. They are the smallest group of internet voters, and the percentage of older people, it grows, which actually says that the popularity grows with the older people and with the women as well. So it grows there as well. Here is the number, the line, red line is the number of ID card users, ID card electronic users. And as you can, and the red dots are elections with internet voting. As you can see, at first it was a big help for ID card usage, but now it's really not affecting anymore much, and really we have a potential to have even more internet voters. So finally, we are not replacing paper, of course. We are not just giving new opportunities, new ways to vote. And if you start all of that, we had less than 10,000 people at first. So it takes time. People get used to it and start using it. So don't expect results immediately. And I think it was like with the internet banking. At first, it was very scary to see your money in the internet. Nobody's questioning it anymore. So I would be saying that internet voting is quite the same. And well, basically, we don't have way back, and I think the rest of the world doesn't have other way forward. Thank you.
Can you describe the way how the government distributes electronic signature to citizens of Estonia? Is it for free or they have to pay for that?
No, it's free. It's for free. You pay for the card, of course, but just creating signatures is for normal people. Normal people is free. Well, the companies, they pay for validation services, but for ordinary people it's for free.
Thank you. Is there another question? Thank you very much.